This episode contains spoilers for Child of Light. Hello and welcome to Push to Smart. This episode we are gathering around the digital water cooler to talk about Ubisoft's 2014 game Child of Light. Child of Light is developed by several of Ubisoft's little studios, including Montreal, Massive, and Romania. It uses the Ubi art engine that was, I believe it was debuted in Rayman Origins and Rayman Legends. And so yeah, it's a very pretty game, and it's about a little girl named Aurora who is stolen from her home, and she's on a quest to return, and she's a princess, and her kingdom is in trouble.
Oh no, whatever shall she do? I didn't like this game at all.
So it got pretty good reviews. I believe Stacey would disagree.
I should also preface this. Jaylee kept telling me I need to play it. And I told him I was playing it. He texted me saying it was a roller coaster. And I texted him back saying, good roller coaster or bad roller coaster? And he texted me a gif of Tina from Bob's Burgers going, That's when I knew we were in trouble.
When I first started playing the game, it was kind of charming. All the dialogue is written in rhyme. It's cute, and the story is interesting. Most of the problems that I have with the game aren't that it's doing anything problematic or bad. It's just doing things kind of poorly.
And bad. It was physically painful.
I wouldn't go that far. So it's an RPG, and in battles you get to kind of knock your foes off their feet with strategic timing and everything, which I really like.
Yeah, the idea of that was really cool.
And, there were these gems that you could use, but I never really got to them because they were unnecessary. And there are a bunch of different people you can have in your party, all of them one-dimensional.
Yeah. Like, there's a point in the game, like, towards the very end, she's talking about one characters, and she was just like, oh, you're always so grumpy. It was like, really? I guess that's a character trait we're assigning right now, because we can't write anything else. The whole active time battle thing was, like, it was really interesting, and basically it manifested, you had a bar at the bottom, and each of the characters on screen, including who you're fighting against, has, like, a little bar that progresses. And once they get to a certain area on that initial bar, you can strike in that area. But also, if another character races ahead of you, they can stop you and prevent you from striking and hit you all the way back.
It's actually very satisfying. And it's one of my favorite parts of the game is when I get, like, a boss to, like, go back, and I was just like, yeah.
But I found it difficult to balance, or, like, it was either really, really easy or it would be totally off balance. And I think part of it was, apparently they changed the difficulty modes names between when you played it and when I played it. So I started playing on what used to be the hard and what was then, like, the normal or whatever. And and the difference between the two is just grinding. That's it. And so I ended up, when I figured out this is really pointless, why am I wasting all this time on this game I don't like? I'm going to go back to casual, which used to be normal. And when I did that, it was like I was way overpowered. Even though you could flip between them, it wasn't balanced very well. And so I think that really also negatively affected my view of the game because the battle system was the only redeeming factor.
Oh.
And if you do play on, like, the casual / former normal, you don't have to do anything with the gems or, the crafting. My guess is you could probably get away with not even assigning abilities because it is so easy. And it is all about just getting the timing, which you either do or you don't. So, good idea, fundamentally flawed.
And that's the thing, is that everything that the game does well kind of starts grating on you. It's not a very long game.
No.
It kind of shows how shallow some of these aspects are. For example, the rhyming. It's quirky and cute, but it ends up...
And then it keeps going.
Yeah, and then it keeps going, and then it kind of shoehorns it in there. And same thing, there's a character who is a jester who her flaw is that she does not rhyme, and that gets old after the first time, and then she just keeps on doing it.
It starts out like, oh, that's cute, kind of twist on it, and then you realize, oh my god, this is going to be her thing. That's it.
The entire game. Yeah. Another thing that I have an issue with is the characters, who are all very, shallow and basic. For example, there's the jester who's sad, and there's the gnome, and there's the raccoon who's always getting, like, friend-zoned and weird. I
think it was a mouse.
A mouse. I don't know. It was really weird because he was just like, I need to do all these things and then this girl will like me. Why doesn't she like me? And I was like, this has no place in this game. Yeah. This is really kind of awkward.
Let's sit down and talk about this.
Yeah.
In verse.
I started liking the game a bit more when Aurora's sister was introduced coming into the magical land, and she kind of helps her along because I was excited that the game was going to start exploring sisterhood and kind of you have these two different age groups. One is like late teens, one is a child, but it doesn't go into that at all. And instead, you know, there's the big twist that it's basically evil stepmother and all of her sisters are evil and she's the only good one.
Because reasons.
Yeah. And that really let me down. And we are just kind of ragging on this game just because there was a lot of promise and it had such a beautiful trailer. And I was so excited that they were, you know, putting forth this RPG of this, you know, coming of age story through the eyes of a little girl. And it just didn't really go anywhere.
No. And I think you've kind of mentioned this, too, in relation to their new game that just came out about World War... Was it 1 or 2?
One.
Okay. But you were saying it felt kind of hollow. And,
yes.
And it kind of seems to be, from what you've told me, in line with Child of Light. There's something to be said about Ubisoft putting this money and their name behind these kind of, quote, artsy games. Especially a war game. Like, and approaching it from a completely different angle. But they feel hollow. And they're just not very good. And it's... You want to give them credit for trying, but at the same time, they're not good.
It's one of those things where they make really good trailers, but they don't make super great games.
Yeah.
And another thing that was also disappointing to me is instead of actually showing Aurora maturing and growing up in her actions, it's basically once you beat a boss, a certain landmark, she ages physically. And that's how you know she's growing up.
Which is strange because an RPG is a very good kind of system for potentially portraying growth because it is all about increasing your stats, learning new abilities. And if they tied those things together, like marry that narrative to that mechanic, it would have probably worked a little bit better. Not a lot better because the game has so many other problems. But it looks like they had the idea like, okay, we'll tell the story with an RPG and not realize... You know, that they need to put those two hands together and combine those in order for it to be meaningful.
While I was playing this, I kept on thinking back to my time when I played Ni no Kuni, and I adore Ni no Kuni, the Studio Ghibli RPG. And it's also a coming-of-age story, except it's through the eyes of a boy. One of the things that it does, it just does everything better. But it only has 2 party members, and... they get their own mini arcs. Nothing compares to the growth that you see in Oliver. I wasn't expecting another Ni no Kuni, but I was expecting another game in the same vein.
One thing that Ni no Kuni, I think, did a lot better, and the time I played with it, I didn't get, I think, as far as you did, but it has kind of like the magical world that the child is transported to, and then it has the real world, and it is very good at defining the difference between those two worlds. Where Child of Light, I did not understand the relationship between them. Like, at one point, I thought it was like a Wizard of Oz thing where she's sick and she's been kind of transported in this world that might be her dream or something. But then she, like, goes through a mirror and gets there. And then, like, all her family is there and they actually are physically there.
The thing about this game is that instead of showing, it just tells you.
In verse.
Yes.
In nauseating verse.
Like, there's this part where, you know, Aurora is set to leave, and all the characters are crying, and they're like, we had such good times together. Oh, we're the best of friends. And I was like,
we just met 10 minutes ago.
Even with the mouse guy?
Yeah. I had the same reaction. It's like, who are you people? Can I read a quote from Clayton Purdum's review at Killscreen?
Absolutely.
Which I think just sums it up. He says that last year's hyper-conservative Ni no Kuni told a similar tale of children and death with grace, simplicity, and heart. But Child of Light is whimsical through brute force. It reaches through the screen and puts a toy crown on your head and tells you you're having an emotional experience. That encapsulates everything.
The game. And again, you know, this is nothing against people who like the game because there aren't many games that have female leads. There aren't many games that are put through the eyes of a child. It's good that we're getting more of those out there, but I just want more.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons we named it in our Bechdel episodes An Example That Passes, because it is one of those rare examples of a coming-of-age story around the little girl, but it's not very good.
Yeah.
It really isn't. It's so... It made me irrationally angry, and I think it was the verse. That was just like the salt on the wound. It's like, we're not good and we're going to make sure you know it.
Oh, geez.
We're going to make it painful.
Stacey has this unadulterated hate.
I do. I'm sorry. I do not like it at all.
And I actually did like parts of it. I mean, I wouldn't trade the time I spent on it. I feel like, you know, it was a game. It was good.
I would.
And the time, of course you would. But the time I had most fun with it was when I was, you know, flying around, taking in the beautiful scenery, and doing battle. Not when I was interacting with the story or characters at all. And so that does it for our water cooler discussion of Child of Light. We were pretty harsh, I guess, on the game. So please let us know in the comments your thoughts on Child of Light, what you would like to see from Ubisoft in the future if they're going to continue making artsy games, and maybe just one redeeming quality you found in Child of Light, if you can find it, unlike Stacey.
Yeah, sorry.